Chapter 13, 10 Years. The night after Emperor Yuan left, Lin Jufeng woke up Nameless, who was in the copper coffin. "Master," Nameless called out respectfully. "From now on, your master is no longer me, but the emperor of the Yuha God dynasty, Emperor Yuan. Go to him," Lin Jufeng ordered placidly, switching the identity of Nameless's master to Emperor Yuan. Although Lin Jufeng didn't want to handle the troubles that his younger brother had shared with him early in the day, handing Nameless to him and reducing the pressure that he was feeling with the help of Nameless was still something that Lin Jufeng could do. With Nameless, who was a martial sage, the resistance against Emperor Yuan's reforms would probably be greatly reduced. On the other hand, he also had a selfish motive in doing so. The more stable his younger brother's position was, the safer he was in the cold palace. Nobody would come to disturb him. If the Yuha God dynasty really was to fall into pieces, Lin Jufeng's place would become far from the peace that he wanted. After all, beneath this cold palace was an area with extremely negative energy. Many people would definitely covet the secrets in such a place. Nameless turned and left the cold palace. He went to the Forbidden City to look for the current emperor. Lin Jufeng had no idea what happened in the Forbidden City last night. But when he woke up the next morning, he saw his own nephew. A very handsome little fellow with delicate and refined features. He was already 5 years old, but he had yet to be admitted into the imperial family's pedigree. It only struck Emperor Yuan when he was at his wits' end that his older brother was well learned and would definitely have no problem teaching a child. In the cold palace, Lin Jufeng looked at the little rascal before him and asked, "What is your name?" "Lin Tianyuan," the child answered in a clear and sweet-sounding voice. "Do you know why you have come here?" Lin Jufeng continued to question. "To listen to your Royal Highness's teachings," Lin Tianyuan replied. "All right, don't call me your Royal Highness in the future, just call me teacher." Lin Jufeng waved his hand. This child was sent here by his younger brother. No matter what, Lin Jufeng had to teach him well. "Yes, teacher." Lin Tianyuan knelt down to kowtow, neat and efficient. He did not have the muddle-headedness and meekness of other children. "Henceforth, you will follow me. I don't need you to serve me or whatnot. Just focus on cultivating, I will guide you," Lin Jufeng advised. "All right, teacher," Lin Tianyuan agreed. "Here's a secret manual, use it for cultivation." Lin Jufeng handed the glorious dream of spring and autumn technique that he had gotten from a previous sign into Lin Tianyuan. This was a very powerful inner strength cultivation technique. Lin Jufeng was also practicing the same technique. Lin Tianyuan received it reverently, then went through it in detail. He directly asked Lin Jufeng about the parts that he couldn't understand. One adult and one child began the days of quiet cultivation in the cold palace. Lin Jufeng gradually realized that Lin Tianyuan had a pretty good talent for cultivation. He had only started his cultivation a month ago, yet he had already completed his journey through foundation establishment. His speed was even faster than when Lin Jufeng was still the crown prince. Of course, the glorious dream of spring and autumn technique, and the foundation establishment pills that Lin Jufeng received from signing in, including Lin Jufeng's personal pointers, all contributed to his swift cultivation speed. However, Lin Tianyuan's talent was truly astonishing, not to be underestimated. A month later, Lin Jufeng imparted to him a sword skill. Ultimate Heaven-Slashing Sword Skill. This was the sword skill that Lin Jufeng received from his very first sign-in, and also one of his only 2 sword skills. It was tremendously powerful and could instantly kill an enemy. Lin Jufeng instructed Lin Tianyuan to unsheath his sword 1,000 times a day without slacking. Without slacking meant that he must be focused all throughout the action of unsheathing for it to be counted to the 1,000 times per day. The 5-year-old Lin Tianyuan gritted his teeth, his thin and small body forcefully persisted throughout. Taking one foundation establishment pill every 2 days, all the nutrients for his body were sufficiently supplemented by the pill. Every 7 days, Lin Jufeng would let Lin Tianyuan make a trip home to see his own mother, then he would return to continue cultivating. Of course, Lin Jufeng could also relax while eating the delicacies and drinking the good wine that Dakin brought. Afterwards, he would then listen to Dakin sharing the trivial matters happening in the outside world. Your Royal Highness, something big happened in the imperial capital yesterday, Dakin said with a laugh. Lin Jufeng asked, what something big? His Majesty suddenly announced land reforms yesterday. It will start from the imperial capital itself. The first to bear the brunt are the 4 big family clans in the imperial capital. But they objected with everything. A good half of the court officials also objected, Dakin said. Lin Jufeng quietly drank his wine and prompted. Then, His Majesty got the imperial guards to take down the members of the 4 big family clans and throw them into prison in the presence of the court officials, Dakin said excitedly. What reaction did the 4 big family clans have? Lin Jufeng asked placidly. After handing Nameless to Emperor Yuan, Lin Jufeng knew that Emperor Yuan would make a big move, but he didn't expect that this younger brother of his could actually remain so calm to the point that he waited until a month later before acting. Of course they rebelled. The 4 big family clans directly contacted the Forbidden Troops 1, wanting to rid the emperor of disloyal court officials and rise in revolt at night, said Dakin. Lin Jufeng thought for a while. He might be cultivating last night, but he didn't hear the sounds of any upheaval. There wasn't any commotion last night. Although the cold palace was located in a remote place, he would still be able to sense the revolt of the forbidden troops. Of course, there was no commotion. Just as they were preparing to rebel, that martial sage acted. He killed all the experts of the 4 big family clans. The traitor general of the forbidden troops was also killed. He quelled the storm within a very short time. Today morning, the court underwent a great purge. His Majesty's prestige is unprecedentedly powerful. No one dares to act presumptuously anymore, said Dakin agitatedly. After saying all of these, he quietly asked, Your Royal Highness, was it you who got that martial sage to act? In the entire Yuha God dynasty, only Dakin knew that Lin Jufeng had a martial sage under his command. Lin Jufeng laughed and said, that is His Majesty's martial sage subordinate. I'm just a dethroned crown prince who is imprisoned in the cold palace. How will I have a martial sage subordinate? We're done here, pack up the things and leave. I'll see you next time. Dakin let out an, oh. He knew that Lin Jufeng didn't want to talk about that matter, so he immediately stopped asking about it. He obediently packed his things and left. After Dakin left, Lin Jufeng looked towards the Forbidden City and murmured, You should be feeling less pressure by now. With a martial sage supporting you, any resistance against your reforms would be much smaller. Cleaning up the resistance in the court was just the first step. He still had a very long way to go next. Meanwhile, Lin Jufeng continued to sign in. His routine continued as he waited for an opportune moment to make his breakthrough to the next realm, all the while guiding Lin Tianyuan as he cultivated. In a flash, 10 years went by. The 10th year of the Yuha Yuan era. And also the 10th year of Emperor Yuan's ascension. Lin Jufeng had now spent over 15 years in the cold palace. He transformed from a youth in his early 20s to a 40-year-old uncle. Through the trials of time, what remained unchanged was only that handsome face of his. At the end of the 10 years, Lin Jufeng's cultivation base reached the peak of the Great Grandmaster realm. Peak in its truest sense. He wasn't in a hurry to make a breakthrough, though. In fact, he could have done so 5 years ago. But Lin Jufeng had just grasped the subtleties of the martial sage realm at that time and began polishing himself with no rush to make a breakthrough. All the way till now, he was still sharpening. But after the passing of a decade, Lin Jufeng's strength had grown incredibly strong. Lin Jufeng dared state that he could kill a martial sage like Nameless with a snap of his fingers. This was the result of his accumulation over the decade. Throughout the 10 years, the only person to witness Lin Jufeng's might was Lin Tianyuan. He grew from a 5-year-old child to a 15-year-old teen with a very tall height and a young handsome face. Despite being so innocent-looking, his capabilities weren't to be undermined. And during these 10 years, it could be said that the outside world had experienced a lot of sudden changes and persevered through many intense situations. 10 years later in the cold palace, things were still the same as before. Just that some of the interior parts had been cleaned up. Lin Jufeng was the one who tidied and cleaned a few places here and there. He tidied up the vast garden and the lake, giving himself a place to stroll and relax. Over these 10 years, Lin Jufeng's cultivation didn't require the aid of the Millennium Frost Jade Bed anymore, so he let Lin Tianyuan use it. Other than signing in every day, Lin Jufeng would just sit quietly beside the lake, looking at the sky, the earth, and the water beneath. His cultivation level had already reached the peak of the Great Grandmaster realm. The Martial Sage realm was just a fingertip away. He could break the barrier to this realm just by poking at it with his finger. But Lin Jufeng wasn't in a rush to advance to the next realm. The Martial Sage realm truly is a realm far more profound than the previous realms. Being in existence of this realm is equivalent to being a sage of the martial path. Not only does a martial sage continues to accumulate true qi to further develop his meridians, but a sage also has to comprehend the concept of the martial path, creating his own unique martial will to destroy all enemies beneath the realm of the martial sage with ease. Lin Jufeng muttered in his heart. He had been accumulating his own martial will for the past few years. After 5 years, Lin Jufeng's martial will had become as vast and as deep as the sea, bottomless and boundless. He looked at the wide lake in front of him and formed a sword seal with his index and middle finger before he slowly raised his hand. Boom! All the water in the entire lake leapt into the air at this moment. The water splashed and turned into countless longswords for Lin Jufeng's disposal. This scene was seen by Lin Tianyuan in the distance. His eyes widened in shock. It was because Lin Jufeng didn't use any of the true qi in his body. At this moment, he was akin to an ordinary person, yet with just a thought, tens of thousands of longswords instantly condensed from the water in the lake. They streaked through the skies before they exploded at once. Shush! The rain of swords descended, each drop of water powerful enough to kill a great grandmaster. They all landed in the lake before Lin Jufeng. Lin Jufeng's true qi moved and condensed by itself inside his body, turning into water droplets. 1 drop. 2 drops. 3 drops. At this moment, the vast true qi in his body condensed into a river, flowing through Lin Jufeng's body. He closed his eyes and he felt as if his soul was wandering throughout the world by itself. He saw a small grass breaking through the soil in the distance, showing its head tenaciously. He saw the fish in the lake running in a panic as if they were shocked by what Lin Jufeng had done just now. He also saw the ants in the soil building a nest and saw an ant in the nest working hard. Lin Jufeng opened his eyes. The world depicted in his eyes seemed to have changed dramatically. But it also seemed that nothing had changed at the same time. Lin Jufeng smiled and thought, the realm of martial sages doesn't seem difficult to reach. In the 5 years that passed, Lin Jufeng's martial will had already become incredibly strong and solid. Just by closing his eyes, he advanced to the martial sage realm. This was extremely terrifying and powerful indeed. There are several stages in the martial sage realm. The first being profound insight. The goal is to obtain a profound understanding of the martial path. Lin Jufeng thought silently. The profound insight stage was the first of the many stages in the martial sage realm. The differences between the stages in the martial sage realm weren't in the amount of their true qi, nor the power of their skills and techniques. It was in the strength of their martial will. At this moment, Lin Jufeng recalled the 2 martial sages, the Among Flowers sect's patriarch and Nameless from more than 10 years ago. He couldn't help but sigh, thinking, they are both very weak in the martial sage realm. The martial will of the Among Flowers sect's patriarch could practically be called fragile. As for Nameless, he didn't have a martial will at all. Back then, Lin Jufeng used his body to execute Sword 22 and killed the enemy with 1 strike. This was the truth of that event. After all, Nameless was a corpse that had been resurrected. To be frank, it was already good for him to have the strength of a martial sage despite not having a martial will. Lin Jufeng compared his own martial will with those 2. He found the difference between a drop of water and the sea. I can kill them with a flick of my finger. Lin Jufeng sighed, feeling quite invincible. The martial will he spent 5 years comprehending and accumulating was really too vast and deep. After Lin Jufeng broke through the realm of martial sage, the days passed by like usual. He would occasionally give Lin Tianyuan some pointers before spending the rest of the time comprehending his own martial will. But today, Emperor Yuan, who hadn't come to the cold palace for 10 years, came. The current Emperor Yuan wasn't as immature as before. 10 years had passed and he was already 30 years old. The sense of majesty in him had grown stronger and his cultivation level had also entered the realm of Golden Core. Not far from the realm of Grand Master. But if he wanted to reach Martial Sage in this life, it was basically hopeless. After all, he was entangled by a lot of trivial, worldly matters. Big brother. Having not seen each other for 10 years, Emperor Yuan called out cordially when he saw Lin Jufeng. Although he felt that something was amiss. Why did it seem that his elder brother whom he hadn't seen for 10 years hadn't changed at all? A cultivator could prevent their age from showing on their appearance, but their temperament would inadvertently change. However, in Lin Jufeng's case, 10 years for him seemed as to only a single day had passed. His smile still was as cheerful as ever, like that of a teenager. His smile made everyone feel as if a breeze was blowing in their direction, it felt refreshing and peaceful. Standing beside him made anyone feel subconsciously at peace. Father. Lin Tianyuan greeted respectfully. His name wasn't inside the royal family tree, so he couldn't greet Emperor Yuan as Father Emperor. Emperor Yuan smiled gently. Compared to Father Emperor, he preferred the title Father much more. How are you doing? Emperor Yuan asked in concern. Father. Teacher has taught me a lot, especially in the path of martial arts. His knowledge is broad and profound, but I am a stupid person and didn't even manage to learn 1% of teacher's knowledge, Lin Tianyuan said with shame. It's fine. Your teacher is very knowledgeable, but you aren't bad either. You're already at the Golden Core realm at such a young age, you have a bright future ahead of you. Emperor Yuan didn't take Lin Tianyuan's words to heart, only treating them as a compliment to his elder brother. Emperor Yuan truly believed that his elder brother's knowledge of literature was broad and profound. But as for the martial path, Lin Jufeng's cultivation base was destroyed in the past. This was something that everyone knew. Although he had started his cultivation journey anew, he wouldn't be able to reach a considerably high realm anymore since he has to start from the beginning at such an old age. How come you have time to visit today? Lin Jufeng asked curiously when he saw Emperor Yuan again after 10 years. Regarding Emperor Yuan's reforms, Lin Jufeng would listen to Dakin speak about it once every 7 days. His reforms really were carried out on the corpses of many. In the past 10 years, Emperor Yuan never rested for even a single day. Lin Jufeng sometimes couldn't help but sigh upon hearing Dakin's expositions. He felt that Emperor Yuan really was suitable to be the emperor. I haven't seen you for 10 years, so I came to have a look at you today. Emperor Yuan sat beside Lin Jufeng. His anxious mood became relaxed due to the subconscious influence of Lin Jufeng's cultivation base. He let out a long sigh of relief, the pressure that had been pressing against his heart for a long time disappeared without a trace. He closed his eyes comfortably. Lin Jufeng glanced. He didn't do anything. Every movement of a martial sage cultivator could subconsciously influence those around him. It was because every martial sage had a special field of influence around them. This was also the reason why the realm had the word, sage, in it. Big brother, I came to visit you and also to bring Tianyuan away. He is already 15 now, and it's time for him to see the outside world. After all, he has already reached the Golden Core realm. Emperor Yuan said. Bring him out, Lin Jufeng nonchalantly said. He didn't plan to teach Lin Tianyuan forever anyway. It wasn't like Lin Tianyuan could sign in like him. In that case, what was the point of staying with him in the cold palace all the time? Father, I want to continue learning from teacher, Lin Tianyuan insisted. Lin Tianyuan had seen the strange scene of Lin Jufeng's breakthrough to the martial sage realm. He firmly believed in his heart that Lin Jufeng was a very powerful expert. Learning from him was surely advantageous, so he wasn't willing to leave just yet. I am going to do something big, and I need your help. There's no one else that I can trust to help me with it, Emperor Yuan said solemnly. Tianyuan, go with your father. The cold palace isn't the place where you should be. If you have any difficulties in the future, you can come back and find me. Lin Jufeng gave a promise to Lin Tianyuan. They lived together for the past 10 years after all. Lin Tianyuan still wanted to say something, but Emperor Yuan was very busy with things, so he took him away directly. Inside the Forbidden City in the middle of the night, the central hall was brightly lit. The central hall was the place where future and past emperors handled official duties and met with important court officials. Emperor Yuan, who was already on the throne for 11 years, sat on the dragon chair. Underneath him stood an old man dressed in the uniform of officials. He was the cabinet chief and the first minister who supported Emperor Yuan's reform. He was also Emperor Yuan's most trusted person. Emperor Yuan studied literature with him in his youth, so Emperor Yuan had always addressed him as teacher. Teacher, it has been 10 years. I have reformed the Yuha God dynasty for 10 whole years. Aside from the land occupied by the 9 vassals and the top sects, my reforms had already been implemented in all the other places where the people work and live in peace and comfort. The result of my reforms have strengthened my determination to implement them in the land occupied by the 9 vassals and the top sects, Emperor Yuan said solemnly. Your Majesty, the problem regarding the vassals, the top sects, and the aristocratic families shouldn't be rushed. We cannot afford to underestimate their strength, the cabinet chief advised. Of course, I know that it cannot be rushed. But it has been 10 years. 10 whole years have passed, but I still cannot solve these problems. If I continue to wait for the opportune moment, it would only get harder for me to solve these problems, for they will continue to consolidate their strength. Therefore, I have decided to act and remove the vassals first. Emperor Yuan said with a cold expression. Your Majesty, you mustn't do this. The forces of the 9 vassals united are enough to fight against the imperial power, not to mention that there are demonic sects supporting them. Removing the vassals from their power is equivalent to forcing them to join forces to deal with us. It will be a calamity to the nation. The cabinet chief's expression changed heavily. He knelt on the ground, advising against it. No need to say any more, I have already decided. Emperor Yuan remained determined, his eyes were faint and cold. He knew how difficult it would be to remove the vassals, but now, there were powerful enemies both inside and outside. Even if he didn't try to remove the vassals, they were already planning to revolt anyway. He might as well launch a preemptive attack against them before they could revolt. Emperor Yuan was determined in his decision. He had been training his own forces for over 10 years now, and he also had a martial sage in his camp. If he didn't act now, when should he act? When the other side had their own martial sages to deal with his own. The cabinet chief couldn't persuade him against it. Seeing that Emperor Yuan was fixed on this, he could only nod and said, I will do my best and give my life to the nation and your Majesty. Emperor Yuan was moved and said, with the support of teacher, I am much more confident that we will succeed. I shall go back first. This time, the elimination of the vassals will definitely be a move that will shock the world. Preparations must be made first, otherwise, we won't be able to control the situation fully by then. The cabinet chief was quick to act. Since they had already decided to do it, they must prepare everything properly first. Tianyuan, send the cabinet chief out, Emperor Yuan said to Lin Tianyuan. Yes. Lin Tianyuan cupped his fists and replied in a deep voice. He then sent the cabinet chief out of the Forbidden City. When he came back again, Emperor Yuan was sitting on a raised platform in the center of the huge central hall, and a large pile of documents was piled up on the table, all of which were state documents. A dim light from a lamp illuminated Emperor Yuan's face, making him appear thin, albeit his eyes were firm. Emperor Yuan had been spending every day of the past 10 years the same way. Every night in this seat, he always went through various documents and memorials, without spending a single day to slack. Even the most demanding people would say that Emperor Yuan was a diligent man who saved a falling nation from ruin by turning the tide around. However, the problems of the Yuha God dynasty that had been accumulating for hundreds of years could no longer be resolved. It was about to explode at any moment now. Emperor Yuan dealt with the problems one by one, but he realized that the number of people that he could use was just far too few for the problems that he had to deal with. Fortunately, Lin Tianyuan was finally grown up. He also had a decent cultivation base. This was why Emperor Yuan decided to bring him into the officialdom and officially groom him. Lin Tianyuan watched as Emperor Yuan carefully reviewed the memorials. The memorials representing various national affairs were revised by him one by one, either by agreeing to it, or by putting forward his opinions, and sending them back to be revised again. Very busy. In the past, Lin Tianyuan hated his father for not acknowledging his identity, but today, witnessing Emperor Yuan's predicament, the resentment in his heart vanished. Everyone had their own difficulties. It wasn't until the latter half of the night that Emperor Yuan finished revising the memorials. He let out a sigh of relief. Most of the oil in the lamp had already been depleted. Lin Tianyuan stood straight. Standing on one side of the hall, he seemed to blend with the shadows. Emperor Yuan looked at Lin Tianyuan's body that was taller than himself. He smiled with satisfaction and said, "You've grown up. Father, I will help you in the future." Lin Tianyuan couldn't help but speak up. Seeing that Emperor Yuan worked so hard for the nation, Lin Tianyuan really admired him. "You are already a Golden Core Realm cultivator, you can indeed help me out now," Emperor Yuan said with a smile. "Father," Lin Tianyuan hesitated. "What's wrong?" Emperor Yuan asked curiously. "My cultivation level has already reached the Grandmaster realm a few days ago," Lin Tianyuan said solemnly. "What?" Emperor Yuan looked at Lin Tianyuan in surprise. "A 15-year-old Grandmaster? You're not kidding. You're only 15 years old. How could you be a Grandmaster?" Emperor Yuan was surprised as he hurriedly asked. It's thanks to teacher's teaching. I am very stupid and could only swallow whatever the teacher teaches me without understanding all of it. But even so, I still managed to reach the Grandmaster realm," Lin Tianyuan said from the bottom of his heart. In his eyes, Lin Jufeng was an invincible existence hidden in the cold palace. "Big brother," Emperor Yuan was at a loss for speech. How could it be? Wasn't Big Brother's cultivation base destroyed by their father 10 years ago? Didn't Big Brother have no resources for cultivation anymore after he was sent to the cold palace? How could his big brother groom Lin Tianyuan into such a powerful cultivator? Various thoughts and theories appeared in Emperor Yuan's mind at this moment. Hearing his son's words, some confusing parts that he had noticed back then finally had their answers. 10 years had passed and the stress from handling state affairs made him look older than he was before. Although he could rely on his cultivation base to look young, those with discerning eyes would still notice that he had aged. But his big brother still looked the same as before, young and energetic, living alone and away from the commotion of the outside world in the cold palace, like a celestial that was banished to the mortal world. In addition, that martial sage. Emperor Yuan suddenly remembered a matter from 10 years ago. "I complained to Big Brother back then, and then the martial sage Nameless took the initiative to find me and help me kill my enemies to stabilize the nation. That martial sage Nameless was asked by Big Brother to come and help me." "Big Brother? How powerful is he exactly?" Emperor Yuan asked Lin Tianyuan in shock. "No one knows how powerful teacher is," Lin Tianyuan shook his head and replied. Emperor Yuan never thought that his brother had a hand in this matter. After all, everyone knew that the previous crown prince's cultivation had been destroyed by the late emperor. But now, everything seemed to fall into place. As for Lin Tianyuan, he followed Lin Jufeng for 10 years, yet he had never seen the latter execute any technique. The only time he witnessed Lin Jufeng's power was at that moment when Lin Jufeng broke through the martial sage realm. A lake of water turned into a rain of swords with just a casual swing of his finger. Lin Tianyuan felt that he needed to learn from his teacher for a lifetime before he could have the ability to drive the world's energies with ease like his teacher. Big Brother is indeed Big Brother, Emperor Yuan smiled bitterly. When he was young, he wanted to surpass his big brother and obtain some achievements to make Big Brother proud. But now, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Cold Palace. After Lin Tianyuan left, Lin Jufeng finally experienced quietness once again. No one bothered him anymore, and he also didn't have to sign in for the pills that Lin Tianyuan needed to cultivate. Considering all of these, Lin Jufeng's mood was quite good. He started his daily meditating and qi refining, then he practiced controlling the world's energies, combining them with his martial will, and integrating them into his martial arts. Stacking these improvements layer by layer, Lin Jufeng became stronger bit by bit. The martial sage realm was divided into several stages. Upon just reaching the martial sage realm, a person would definitely be at the profound insight stage, after which was the life-knowing stage. The stage of life-knowing was to thoroughly understand one's own life and one's own foundation. After life-knowing was fish leap. The entire sea was for the fish to leap. The world was the sea and the cultivator was a tiny fish. Once the cultivator leapt over the shackles of the world which was the sea, he would be able to truly transcend the world. The last stage was the martial path great sage. These 4 stages represented how strong a person would be in the martial sage realm. Lin Jufeng was currently at the profound insight stage of the martial sage realm. But his martial will and his proficiency in harnessing the world's energies could crush those of the life-knowing stage. Lin Jufeng thought silently, I'm already at the martial sage realm. I only have to slowly increase my cultivation base. There is no need to worry about other things. The Yuha God dynasty was still stable anyway, no one would come to bother him. After reaching martial sage, Lin Jufeng finally knew how to fly. His true chi had transformed into a vast and deep river in his dantian. Relying on his boundless true chi, Lin Jufeng flew in the air like a bird without the aid or support of any external forces. He flew in the air for about 2 hours before he finally stopped. Short-term flight is no longer a problem. As my cultivation base gets stronger, the flight time will become longer, which is good. Lin Jufeng was satisfied. He could continuously fly for about 2 hours at an incredibly fast flight speed. He had no idea if he was too strong or the others were just too weak, but one thing was for sure, his flight duration and speed truly were terrifying. In the past, Nameless could only continuously fly for a quarter of an hour before his true chi was depleted. To kill an enemy thousands of miles away, Lin Jufeng only needed a few minutes to travel to his enemy's location. It's been more than 10 years since I've arrived in this world. I am finally able to somewhat protect myself from others with my strength. In the past few years, the spirit energy in the world seemed to have increased by a large margin. It seems that a world of great competition and fighting is about to come soon. I still have to become stronger. Lin Jufeng sighed. In his previous life, he had read a lot of novels. He knew that once the so-called world of great competition started, the various geniuses in the world would be like carps crossing the river, appearing in numbers so large that it would be uncountable. His little bit of strength now would be nothing at all by then. Lin Jufeng didn't want to go out just to become a stepping stone for a chosen one of destiny or something. Wasn't it good enough to just stay low-key and sign in silently in the cold palace?